I'll be establishing my team stance, focusing on inclusive development, poverty reduction, and long-term sustainability, while my teammates will reaffirm our stance, focusing on export opportunities and revenue growth, and further rebut the argument of side opposition. Today, I'm not just here as a speaker, but as the Commissioner of Agriculture and Natural Resources. I rise in firm support of the motion that Ebonyi State government should prioritize agro-industrialization over urban infrastructure expansion as the primary economic strategy for our state. This state is called the salt of the nation, not just because of our salt lakes, but because we have been blessed as an agrarian state. We have the soil that has the capacity to produce lots of agricultural farm produce in abundance. Yet, year after year, our farmers suffer due to lack of processing and poor storage facilities. This must change. On my first point, inclusive development. Urban expansion concentrates benefits in Abakaliki and other towns, leaving rural communities behind. But agro-industrialization spreads development across the state because factories, processing plants, and storage units can be located in rural areas close to these farms. And this also bridges the rural-urban divide and reduces migration to already congested cities. Agro-industrialization spreads industries and wealth to rural areas where most Ebonians live. So instead of prioritizing an economic strategy that only satisfies a part of the state, why not invest in one that not only satisfies the whole state, but also extends to other states of the federation, thereby reducing dependence on imports and contributing to national food supply? Opposition might argue that without roads, power and estates, agro-industry cannot succeed. Ebonyi already has basic infrastructures in place, and agro-industrialization drives demand itself for more infrastructure. When agro-factories are built, government is forced to extend power, to extend roads and water to those places. So instead of waiting for infrastructure first, why not agro-industrialization lead, then infrastructure will follow? On my second point, poverty reduction. Agro-industrialization creates long-term employment in farming, processing, storage, packaging, marketing, and distribution of these agricultural produce. While urban infrastructure projects, on the other hand, like flyovers and estates and roads, create mostly short-term employment. So this creates short-term construction jobs where people have to work for the period that these construction of projects are in place, and then after that, they lose their employment. Opposition might argue that investors prefer modern cities with roads and flyovers, which will create more job opportunities and increase our internal generated revenue. But investors follow profit, not flyovers. Agro-industrialization offers Ebonyi a ready market. Once value chains are profitable, investors will come, even if it means going to the rural communities, thereby reducing the poverty in the state. On my third point, long-term sustainability. A strong agricultural economy will generate the wealth even needed to fund these urban projects later. Prioritizing agro-industrialization now lays a financial base of which, if we neglect this agro-industrialization and rush to go and build flyovers and estates and city malls without an economic base, we risk creating white elephants. So first is wealth, then expansion. Panel and the good people of the salt of the nation. In today's debate, as the Commissioner for Agriculture and Natural Resources, who fully understands the aim of the Ebonyi State government, we are not saying that there should be no investment in urban expansion. What we are saying is that agro-industrialization should be given more priority. USDA reports project that Nigeria may import 2.3 million metric tons of parboiled rice in 2024. Now, imagine if Ebonyi is empowered to serve as a local distributor within this country. Distinguished colleagues, the future of our economy does not depend on glamour and beauty. It depends on unlocking the wealth that is in our soil through agro-industrialization. For these reasons, I am proud to propose. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Hello everyone, my name as already know is Ngozi Emoha. First of all, I'd like to start with this. How long will we monopolize our economy? We have been an agrarian state for how many years? And we still want to put in more money in this same agrarian state. We can do better than that. We can really do better than that. And we can have this thing. Facilities can be provided. You make it seem as if urban expansion is only basic, it's only superficial. My dear ladies and gentlemen, urban expansion provides access. Urban expansion provides populace and sectoral inclusivity, including the same agriculture that you are talking about. Urban expansion also provides preservation and assured continuity of life for our generations. But then again, we need to know what exactly is urban expansion. Urban expansion is the outward growth of cities, or it is the establishment of the geographical footprint of cities in surrounding rural areas. And do you know that these rural people, they even need to even have this facilities, because they are left out. How can the urban areas be progressing and they are not progressing? They need provision of these amenities and accessibility and services because they don't even have basic health care. They don't even have access to basic utilities or infrastructure. Tell me, my dear proposition, how would you feel living in a thatched hut all day, no progress at all in your mental capacity? You are just staying there. But with growth, with the establishment of adequate transport networks, with this our urban expansion, and there is connection between these rural and these urban areas. There doesn't even need to be a segregation. Why there's even a difference in the names? Because there's a segregation between these two areas. But with access to essential services now, they can increase education, utilities, they can increase infrastructure, the same infrastructure you're talking about, only for agriculture, but it can be expanded into different things and provide also manufacturing and processing facilities needed for that agriculture. There can also be establishment of good urban markets with access by these road transports now. These villagers now, and I have you know that these villagers are majorly rural farmers, and only 38% of rural farmers are economically active, with 69% rather being economically being predominant farmers, and 85% of Ekueme residents are in those rural areas. Majority of our population is in those areas, and they do not even have access to the basic amenities. But with this access now, there can be job creation, my dears. There can be this connection to the urban markets, leading to local and foreign investments. There can also be prevention of post-harvest losses. Imagine going on a bad road network with bad security now. Won't you lose your goods? But with appropriate transport networks now, they can establish themselves. They can be entrepreneurial ventureship. They can be job creation, employment. Aren't you supposed to be empowering the people? Isn't this what the Ekueme government is for? And you know this is even emphasized by the Ekueme government as 40% of travel time has been reduced. 30% there's also been a 30% increase in trade activities, local trade activities for these persons. We're meant to be empowering these people, advancing our state, not remaining in the same place, monopolizing only agriculture. Then you've been doing agriculture since. You did not do anything about it. It's when we need to have a priority set by having urban expansion, actually broadening out. How long will we remain rural? And I'll have you know that there's economic diversifications due to these connections. And I also mentioned the manufacturing processes that exist. And I will also have us know that with this urban expansion, this is actually to accommodate our increasing population. I'll have you know 6 years with the increasing population. Do you know as of 2020 to the 2022 survey, we are 3.2 million persons. And from 1991 to 2018, there was a drastic increase of 13% in the population. How are we addressing this population needs? How can we address this population needs? We can address it by the inculcation of different innovatives, farming or agricultural urban innovatives, such as use of vertical farming. We can also use aquaponics, which recycles water between fish ponds and different expansive vegetation. You know, all this also preserves our farmlands, our arable lands, as well as still expand. So we can do two things at once. This shows that urban expansion is all-encompassing. It's not just one thing. It's not just situate you in one place. And I'd also like to mention that Ekueme State, as of 6 years ago, has the highest rate of mortality in the southeast, with one woman giving birth to at least 5 children. And you know this is even understated because I worked in Norfolk, and you can have pregnancies. A woman being on her 5th pregnancy, 6th pregnancy, as far as the 7th. So how are we addressing this? I believe that strict birth policy should be in place, with persons giving birth to at least 3 children within a family to address this poverty situations, and to ensure that the population is not too high for the state to have this way. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, and all present, the principle of competitive advantage teaches us that a nation prospers most when it invests first in what it does best. And for Ekueme State, agriculture is our strength. We contribute over 70% to rice production in the southeast, and over 40% of workforce in Ekueme State depend directly on farming. Ladies and gentlemen, by prioritizing agro-industrialization, we create more jobs, we create more revenue, and we also ensure food security. As a professor of agricultural resources, I am not just here to make arguments. I'm here to argue and also support the arguments made by the Honorable Commissioner, as well as rebut the arguments made from the Commissioner from Transport and Works. And in doing this, I shall be principally arguing on 2 standpoints. Firstly, that prioritizing agro-industrialization would ensure economic multiplication and growth. Secondly, prioritizing agro-industrialization would ensure price stability, food security, enhance Ekueme State foreign revenue generation, and also ensure advancement of public finance. However, before I proceed to my substantive argument, I would like to engage the argument of psychoposition. The Honorable Commissioner from Transport and Works have argued eloquently that access, road and transportation and electricity is needed for agricultural support. But evidence from Asia and Latin America shows that infrastructure yields its highest return or revenue only when it is built around productive centers. Now, when it is not built around productive center, it creates what we call in the economy stranded assets, where you pour your scarce resources into area that does not provide anything in return. Mr. Commissioner, it's on this ground that we respectfully submit and argue that productive capacity should lead while infrastructure follows next. You also additionally argued that over 85% of Ebonians are in rural areas, which further restate our stand that there is need for prioritization of agro-industrialization. It's important to note that when we talk about agro-industrialization, we're not just talking about farming. We're talking about mechanization, processing, manufacturing, storage, as well as even transportation of these to the rural areas and other areas. It's on this ground that we submit that indeed there is need for concentration on agro-industrialization. On my substantive argument, firstly, which is that agro-industrialization will ensure that there's a multiplication of the economy and also there will be growth. Now, according to the African Development Bank Group, it shows that as a result of agro-industry ability to have forward and backward linkage, there is likelihood for it to create a higher multiple effect on the economy, thereby ensuring job creation, reduction of poverty rate, as well as value chain addition, as it spurs growth in ICT, research, and it also ensures that there's also growth in logistic, packaging, finance, etc., thereby creating a ripple multiple effect in the economy. And evidentially, nations that have industrialized agriculture, such as China and Vietnam, it is shown that they experience about 7 to 8% and 8.5% GDP impact annually and respectively. Furthermore, prioritizing agro-industrialization would ensure food security, price stabilization, public finance advancement, and build export strength for Ebonyi State. Across the globe, countries or governments that first of all build a steady income, enjoy food security, and they also ensure that, and in Nigeria, for instance, generally, we have over 55% inflation in Nigeria based on we have over 55% of headline inflation. And this is driven mostly by post-harvest losses. And now, if Ebonyi State concentrates on agro-industrialization, it will cut all of these costs, and by so doing, there is food security. Now, by investing and prioritizing agro-industrialization, Ebonyi State can also ensure that it generates foreign exchange, as globally it is reported that there is a 4 to 6% demand for cassava flour, rice, and ethanol. And this is a way of creating a steady and solid base upon which Ebonyi State can, first of all, secure its people, create jobs, and ensure revenue, while at the same time having the steady income to ensure that there is urban growth and infrastructure. Now, on the fiscal side of it, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations Organization data shows that agro-industrialization can raise farm income by 20 to 40%, while every 1 naira invested into value addition will bring about 5 naira return in GDP impact. Conclusive the panel and all present. Thank you very much.
You can see that the state government tends to prioritize agricultural industrialization as the primary economic practice. Now, we're looking at the primary.
So therefore, why should you then prioritize agricultural industrialization? There are so many other sectors to focus on. I'm speaking as the head of Ebonyi State Investment Promotion Agency, and I'll strongly say that it is important that we move into investment programs. Invest into the lives of youths. Invest into the lives of people. Invest into men and women that are a lot of men and women are in the house today. Let me not even go far. Youths, graduates are in the house today. People that are computer wizards, people that are skillful in engineering and so much more. I heard you talk about agriculture making room for engineering and so, but I want you to know that provision is very limited. because it has to do with a particular sector. But here we're talking about youths all over that has the skill in different sectors to work on. Come on, you cannot prioritize agricultural industrialization and feel like it is part all of a sudden it will just grow. Like my teammate said, agriculture has been there since. So what is the development that it has brought? What is that development that has it brought? It has been there since. So come on. If you look at the world today, the world has moved into another era. The era of technology. Not just technology, so many other professions. People are expanding, and it has spread it has also spread its wings across the educational, political, agricultural, and security systems and more. Look at the present state of Nigeria today, and look at the present state of the world. Nigeria tends to be one of the countries with the lowest technological advancement. I heard you said that most of the majority population of Ebonyi State is in the rural areas. Yes. So if majority are in the rural areas, do you think that just prioritizing and developing the agricultural sector will bring development to them? So many people today are where they are because of the mindset they carry. So many people today are at the same spot they are, not moving forward because of the mindset they have. Now, investing into educational sectors, educating people on more things, even on this agriculture we're talking about here, expands their knowledge. Okay.
Now, don't you think it would create the wealth base for future urban expansion?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. You agree with me that investors are more attracted to profitable agro value chains than to empty flyovers? You agree with me that investors are more attracted to profitable agro value chains than empty flyovers?
However, I don't like the big decision.
Thank you. You accept that Ebonyi's rural population is larger than its urban population? You accept with me that Ebonyi's rural population is larger than its urban population, yes or no? Do you agree that many Ebonyi farmers lose parts of their harvest to poor storage and lack of processing?
Yes.
You agree with me that flyovers do not stop rice from spoiling? Is food security a more urgent need than urban beautification? Is food security a more need than urban beautification? Okay. How do you explain that despite years of building roads and flyovers in Nigeria, food prices are still rising? Agricultural sector.
Position. I believe that the question can be, my investor, my commissioner, I know you said that investors will follow profits. That is right. We need the foreign investment right now.
Arguing that by neglecting the real focus of today's debate, arguing that there are other sectors. However, the debate is not as to other sectors. Rather, it is on the primary strategy to be adopted in our state in view of the available resources. As a matter of fact, a clear analysis of the debate motion would show that there are already existing infrastructure in Ebonyi State, in the state, and as such, it's not a matter of having infrastructure. Rather, we are saying let agro-industrialization be prioritized over expansion. Now, the opposition has also argued that there is need to invest in other sectors, and this exactly drives home our point in today's debate, which is that agro-industrialization should be prioritized over urban infrastructure expansion.
To go back to what I said about sector, I want you to know that urban expansion involves those sectors. And which sector am I trying to talk about? I mentioned technology advancement, I mentioned education, I mentioned security. Yes, urban expansion involves this sector. That is one thing you should know. And it is not just that. I want you to know that investments in I'm going to give you some examples and some other investments that can actually help us. Investments in shopping malls and industrial estates, attracting investors into large commercial edifices like Ebonyi State Shopping Mall and industrial estates in the capital cities. Market structures, expanding commerce by building markets in rural areas linked by durable markets. Transport networks, building durable ring roads to connect all 13 local government areas, facilitating commercial activities and expansion of urban centers. Commerce and industry, a priority sector to attract both foreign and indigenous investors in various industrial and commercial projects, making use of available raw materials, labor, and secure infrastructures. ICT sectors, training a core of ICT professionals and developing tailored applications for local needs to support local markets. Export-oriented sectors. Now, I want you to also know that I want you to also take note of economic strategies driving urban expansion, harnessing local resources, strategic locations, job creation, entrepreneurship development. These points, these points are mentioned here. I want you to know that these are places that you can also invest in. It's not just to satisfy the people. We're also looking at other parts. Food alone. Let me also remind you that this food alone that we're talking about, that is a basic need. It doesn't satisfy the human beings that we're talking about here. It doesn't give them that maximum satisfaction. It gives them parts of it. Human beings are made up of different communities and different desires and wants. So it doesn't give them that maximum satisfaction. Now, to the plot twist, I want you to like mention unnecessary infrastructures. Yes, they are called unnecessary because it depends on what these infrastructures are built for. It depends on what they are built for. For instance, if it's a school that was being built, or a tertiary institution that was being built, or a training center that was being built to educate people, make them know, make them understand, make them learn things and change their mindset from that local mindset they carry to something that can create history. What about when we talk about rubber industries and other industries that can, maybe we talk about block industries that can make blocks, make cement, make chairs, make rubber, all these things. When you see these industries at work, you see what they produce, you will know that they are not unnecessary. That is why we don't spend money on, because we cannot be spending money unnecessarily feeling that we just want to make buildings and beautify the environment. We are focusing on things that will satisfy the people, thereby coming up with the ideas of creating infrastructures that will help satisfy them, that will help create solutions to their needs and not just the food. Now, I want you to also know that 63% of farmers face inadequate agricultural education and extension service. Okay.
Please, a round of applause for both sides of the debate. Please, we can do better than that for them. A round of applause.